be the lifesaver, someone to be the people that are sending the person off, and someone to be the sender off.
What? There are three main people. One loner or sad person.
Yeah.
And then one
that's reaching out.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is our first trial session for Anthology of Unkept Secrets, which is the project that I've created for the Dream Big Children's Festival in 2019. And what I'm going to be doing is going around to schools in metropolitan Adelaide as well as regional South Australia. And I'm conducting workshops with children between the ages of 10 and 14 years old. And with those kids, I'm going to be getting them to share feelings that they don't think anybody else probably feels, or they don't know if anybody else feels. And in the context of the workshop, through movement and kind of creative dramatic techniques, it's a really beautiful process of kind of working out that there's lots of things that make us different, but there's much more that brings us all together and that we all share in common underneath the surface. It's extremely unpredictable in that you don't know what feelings the children are going to write down and are going to be willing to share. I just want you to kind of open your mind, open your heart, and write down a feeling that you think maybe is just yours. I gave everybody somebody else's feeling, and they didn't know whose feeling it was. So people read out feelings and everyone reacted to that feeling, but nobody knew in the room who had written those words down. It could be a funny feeling. It could be a sad feeling, an angry feeling, a really weird feeling, okay? Anything.
That feeling you get when you start to burst into tears when you think of a bad time in your past.
Yes.
When I have to leave my country forever because of war, I haven't visited in 5 years since I came to Australia, so yeah.
Sometimes I wish I could go back in the time to fix the mistakes.
Before a team sport, I feel worried that I'll let the team down.
Do you ever feel like you have been hurt by your friends and couldn't find anyone to talk to?
You're far away of your family. You will not have any symbol how to talk with him. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm wishing there was a potion that could make me bigger.
I'm sad because I have things on my mind.
When my friends say a joke and then I pretend to get it.
So a picture that captures that feeling. Great. And sometimes I feel like others want to chuck me onto a boat and ship me far, far away. And if you move backwards again, and you'll be able to see that there's some like background. What I hadn't anticipated and what hasn't happened before in such large numbers was kids not willing to read their own feelings out loud. And I'm really looking forward to reading the feelings that they handed me, and they were happy to write the feelings and to share them with me, but they weren't happy to have them read in front of the group. When I get left out, I feel like a castaway. Do you ever feel you are missing? Full stop. And that's quite poetic and beautiful, but very sad. Sometimes I wish there was a drink that made you forget things you don't want to remember. Wow. Sometimes I feel like an annoying piece of rubbish that keeps coming back. Having social anxiety scares me a lot. Even if I were at home, I can't even speak in front of my bestest friends. Although I seem fine, I like to sit in the corner in the classroom. This feeling drives me nuts. A happy one. Winning makes me feel good. That was good. Winning something makes me feel good. And they all agreed with that.
When I'm happy, I try to make that moment last. That is the feeling I want to have in the future.
When you lose a friend and then you see them happy with other people.
That's probably not a very good feeling. That's sort of maybe feeling left out and feeling a little bit jealous. And that's a hard feeling to deal with.
Do you ever feel when you are happy but you think something missing in your life?
Happy when I get to see my dad on the holiday because he lives away.
The teachers that are meeting at the schools are also saying, well, we can't believe how open the kids were with their feelings. We can't believe how easily they all opened up.
An amazing experience today, yeah. Lots of thoughts, lots of feelings have come out of students that, you know, I don't think they have ever had a chance to actually express themselves.
It wasn't confronting, you know, that system of having a student state a feeling and then people gravitate towards them worked really well. It was modelled first and then done with their own feelings, which is really good.
Like talking about even the simple thing of having a crush on someone, what that means to them. Like their emotions that sometimes they don't get to talk about with mum and dad or brother or sister or even bring up to me. So it created a space, I think, for someone to go, yeah, this is how I feel, and to hear that from someone else.
I feel like I like them more than a friend, and I want to be more than a friend with 2 love hearts.
Oh, okay.
And it says hashtag awkward.
Hashtag awkward.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay. What does that feel like? Sad?
I told my crush that I liked him and he said I don't care.
Really? And what did you do then?
I felt upset.
Yeah. Yeah, you know that feeling? Yep. Okay. That is so brave of you. You're a champion.
I know.
Good work. Look at that. That is pretty good. But what I'm discovering through talking to the teachers that are working with the students is that it's a really useful tool for them for various reasons. Like perhaps as a creative tool if they want to create work, but also just in terms of getting to know what is going on beneath the surface of students in their class.
When I get suspended, I feel useless, like the whole world is against me.
And you picture yourself winning until you don't. Then you feel as if your ships have sunk and you can't do it. You're not good enough.
But you know, all those kids that they're right into sport, were up there doing the physical side of it, expressing their feelings physically, probably easier than they could verbally. So that was good. Yeah, it was great.
My chest feels deep and heavy. My throat feels dry and my stomach feels full of butterflies.
Sometimes in maths I feel dumb because I don't know the answer. Ooh, come here.
Like school grades or something, like their expectations and you don't reach them, you feel bad.
Yep.
When I get yelled at, I feel like leaving and not coming back.
When my parents fight, I feel terrible, like I don't want to live there anymore.
And it's really hard. I think that's where being a teacher is the hardest as well, if I connect it to me watching that, because you only have some of these kids for a moment. And sometimes you don't know where they're going to end up or what's going to happen or what they're going home to sometimes.
And just listening to kids today say, you know, they hate their parents fighting and they hate, you know, definitely it makes you rethink the way that we behave as adults, I think, too.
Depression, mentally sad. It feels like you're trapped in a box and you can't escape the box.
I feel like I don't deserve to be here.
Sometimes I wish I could disappear.
I think that is a feeling that most of us relate to when we are finding something a bit overwhelming. You just kind of wish you could just shut your eyes and zone it out for a while. And it's not a nice feeling.
I wish I could see my father more often.
Sometimes I feel, why aren't I smart enough?
Sometimes I feel so mad I just want to run and not come back.
When my dad gets mad at me, I feel like I never wanted to live.
The emotion I feel is mostly being alone.
Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough.
Sometimes I wish I had someone to talk to.
Sometimes I get that feeling when I feel invisible to my friends.
Sometimes I feel so lonely and depressed. When I cry, I'm telling myself to be sick.
The fear of being alone and the fear of no one loving you.
Yep.
Yeah, actually that feeling is the feeling that comes up the most often in the groups. I'm really starting to notice patterns and recurring themes in a big way. Literally without exception, in each class that I've run the workshops with so far, there's been children who've said things along the lines of not wanting to be here. You know, part of me just thinks, well, this is great that people are opening up, and this is probably something that is unfortunately true, that all of us have moments where we feel like that. I don't want it to be an overwhelmingly negative experience for people. I want to kind of find, what I try to do in the workshops is to find the positive ways that we come through those feelings. How do we cope with it? How do we support each other when we feel like that? Or what do you do to distract yourself? Or who do you talk to when you feel like that? And keep it moving forwards.
When I laugh so hard, my belly starts hurting.
Yeah.
Funerals are a bad place to start laughing. I've done that before.
Well, a day without laughter is a day wasted, so just laugh like her.
I'll fight the waves that hold me down and find my way. Feel that sound.
Do you think that we actually are as weird as we feel, or do you think that maybe we feel weird but other people think we're pretty normal?
Yes.
More than it comes out in the wording of the feelings that people write down on pieces of paper, it's that conversations that are provoked by those feelings tend to be the most valuable insights into the dynamics of the group and the way they're all thinking, which is, it's interesting because it was, the project for the festival is really the collection and curating of the feelings and then the creation of the book. But we can't put all these conversations into the book, So I'm glad that we're documenting it on film, because I feel like there's something really valuable in those conversations, and I hope those conversations continue after we go. Sometimes, might feel that in general, but sometimes you've got a specific memory that's really strong. If you stick yet, like I don't know the answer yet, or I'm not good at maths yet, then you remind yourself that you are absolutely capable of learning the answer to that maths problem or becoming good at maths if that's something you want to do.
Learn more, and you think it's good, you can get a job, you can go another job. Yeah.
Excellent. So when you're here, you're learning and you know that it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Great-grandfather passed away a few years ago.
And did you find somebody that you can talk to about that?
I found that I could talk to my parents.
That's great. Can you tell me, what was the feeling like the first time you did get to speak to your family again in Syria?
Happy.
Yeah. But the other pattern that I'm seeing is that everybody just wants to be loved and liked and feel included. And that is across the board. Like that, the really dark thoughts, whilst there are some in every group, it's not everybody that feels that way. But everybody responds to the feelings that people say about how hurt they feel when they're not included by their friends, or when they don't feel like they're being listened to. And loneliness is a theme that just comes up so often, even from the kids that seem, from my observations in the sessions, to be sort of chatty, happy kids with lots of friends who are confident to speak up. They're still just as likely to say they feel left out sometimes, and they worry that people don't like them, and that seems to be a really universal feeling that's coming through. Who had their feeling read out and were surprised to find how many other people felt that way too? Great, so that's actually what the main point of doing this is, if there's one point. It's so that we have, even as adults, but especially at your age, there's so many feelings that you have to deal with that you haven't had before, and because they're new to you, you think maybe no one else has ever felt like this before. But it's really, really worth knowing that there's almost nothing that you could go through in your head or your heart that other people haven't been through as well, okay? So there's always going to be somebody that's going to be able to understand and talk to, because we all have such similar feelings. I feel really privileged that they open up as much as they do, but I feel like maybe they always would if we just asked them how they felt,
Lightning strikes.